Hello, this is Miss Cliffner with your lesson for today. Well, I'm calling this lesson, let's put my pencil there, 1.1b. It is all about long division. So I'm asking you to think about a couple of different ways of dividing. Notice there's a symbol, there's a fraction bar, and there's this long division. Now, one way to look at division is to take 12 divided by 4 and to divide 12 into 4 equal groups, right? So if I'm doing equal groups, I'm pretty sure you know 12 divided by 4 is 3, right? So what I want you to see is that if I have my 4 equal groups, what's in each group? The answer is 3. But what if I have 12 that's divided into groups of 4? I mean, how do you know when you see a division problem if you're making an equal number, if you know the groups or if you know how many is in each group? But I want you to think about this one. If I take 12 and then divide it into groups of 4, the answer is also 3. But notice the things I'm circling are different. Here I have 3 in each group because I was told the number of groups. And over here I have 4 in each group because I was told that I was dividing into groups of 4. So the quotient in all of these is still the same number. It just kind of has a different meaning to it, right? So let's look at long division, right? It's not everybody's favorite topic, but it's really efficient. It's a way to divide, and I'm hoping that you are going to like it. All right, maybe you're already good at it. I want you to just watch this part. It's not in your notes, but think about what's happening. So you have 3 friends, right? Notice I use the initials ABC, Al, Bob, and Carl. And they're sharing $435 evenly. I'm going to underline share evenly. So I usually circle the important numbers and I underline the math words. So sharing evenly is how you divide. And then what I want to do is I want to grab and I'm going to model the 435. So you can see that I've got my hundreds. I've got 400. And then in my tens place, I've got 3 tens. And then in the ones place, I have 5 ones. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to take this $435 and share it equally between 3 friends. So I usually start with the hundreds place. That's just how we start long division, with the biggest denomination. So picture $100 bills, right? So Al gets 1, Bob gets 1, and Carl gets 1. There's 1 left over, right? I could start to distribute the tens and the ones right now, but I don't want to do that. I want to distribute the biggest bill first, the hundreds. So I'm going to go to my next page. This is what it looks like. I have 100 left over. Remember that there was already 3 tens there, and then I cashed in the 100 for 10 tens. Now I have a total of 13, right? And what am I going to do? I'm going to split it, in the tens place equally between the 3 friends. They each get 1 10, and then I just keep dividing the second group of tens, and now everybody gets a third 10, right? So I've counted out 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. I do yet another group of 10s. Everybody gets another 10. And again, I have 1 left over. So what do? I take that 10 and turn it in for 10 ones. There was already 5 ones there. So then what do? Now I have a total of 5, 10, 15 ones. And you're going to see that now, as I give each of the friends one of these equally, they all have an equal share, and they all have the same amount. And there's no remainder. Okay? Move me. All right, so here we go. How much do they have? I count, right? Each of them has 100. They each have 4 of the 10s, and they each have 5 of the 1s. All right, so here we go. It looks like a 145. So they each have $145. That's what we do when we divide. We're creating a fair share by taking and regrouping the 100s into 10s and the 10s into 1s, whatever place value I'm looking at. Okay, so hey, here's my example. Now, I use steps to remind me, and the steps are D, M, S, B, and then you keep repeating it until you're all the way done. Okay, so the idea is, if you remember this, does McDonald's sell burgers raw? Of course they don't. So there's my divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So what I want to do is when I start this process, the 3 is on the outside. I'm dividing 435 between 3 people. This is the divisor. This is the dividend. So I figure out how many groups of 3 I can make with 4, or how many times does 3 go into 4. You've already seen the picture. You know everybody got one of the $100. So that's the division part. 3 goes into 4 one time. Now the multiplying is you're actually multiplying this divisor times what you have up here on the quotient. 3 times 1 is 3. When I subtract, I had 100 left over, right? Because I handed out, I divided evenly 3 of those 100s. I had 1 left over. That's why I have 1 down there. Now I'm going to bring down. So we use this step called bring down. That's the B. What it means is I've traded in the 100s and I have 10 of the 10s and I have 3 of the 10s. And now that's a total of 13 10s, right? And how many times does 3 go into 13? It goes in 4 times. That's the division. When I multiply 3 times 4, I get 12. I'm going to subtract, and I have 1. I'm going to bring down the next digit, which is in the ones place. Now I have 15 ones altogether. This 1 here was in the tens place. I had 1 10, and I traded it in for 10 ones. Now I have 15 ones. How many groups can I make with 15 ones if I'm making groups of 3? Or how many times does 3 go into 15? I keep repeating this process until I have no remainder. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 3 times 5 is 15. And when I subtract, I have no remainder. So the answer was 145. We're just going to practice a few of those long division problems. Okay, so now I have an example of 9 friends. The total bill was $837, and I want to know what each person paid from the bill. So I'm taking $837 and splitting evenly between 9 people. Now, here's the deal. When I try to figure out how many times 9 goes into 8, it doesn't. Or think about it like this. I have 8 $100 bills. I have 9 people. I don't have any $100 bills to give them because I need one for everyone. I'm going to put a 0 there. And now I look at these two numbers together. I'm looking at 83 because remember this was 100. I traded in for 10s and I have 80 plus 3 more 10s is 83. Now if you need a multiplication chart to figure out how many times 9 goes into 83, that's fine. Or sometimes I just do this. I do 9 times 1 equals 9. 9 times 2, right? So I can just write out a quick multiplication chart to make sure that I have all the multiples of 9 that I'm going to be using. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 6 is 54. Oops, 9 times 7, 63. 9 times 8 equals 72. And 9 times 9 is 81. So if I have all the multiples of 9 listed, then I'm good to go. All right, so I go down my list. I want to get as close to 83 as I can without going over, which is right here. 9 times 9 is 81. 9 goes into 83 9 times. That's the division part. 9 times 9 is 81. That's the multiplication. Now I subtract. I have 2 in the tens column. I have 2 10s left over. And then I bring down the ones. Now I have 2 10s, which is 20, plus 7 is 27. Oop, there it is right there. 9 times 3. And then I go 9 times 3 is 27. I want to make sure that I subtract until I have no remainder left. So the answer is each person's share is $93. And I'll just put the each. Okay, let's look at one more example, but maybe you could try this one on your own. Kind of getting tricky on you. The area of a mural is 925 square feet. So I'm just going to draw a little picture. This is a weird mural because the height is only 5 feet tall. So the length, this is going to be super long. Trying to draw your picture. This is 5, the height, and the length is unknown. But remember, when you find area, you multiply the length times the width. It's the number of squares inside. So to work backwards, if I don't know what the length equals, I would take the area and divide it by 5. Okay, see what you get. Go ahead and pause the video. All right, 5 goes into 9 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. When I subtract, I get 4. I bring down the 2. 5 goes into 42 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40. Subtract, and I get 2. Bring down the 5. 5 goes into 25 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. I have no remainder. So the height of the mural was 5 feet. The length, this is weird. This is a really weird mural. 185 feet long. Okay. The last example is a double-digit divisor. Same idea. Here's what I want to do. Can 24 go into 7? No. Can 24 go into 74? Yes. And I'm going to give you a multiplication chart that goes up to 30s, so you can handle it. All right. So now, 24, when I look at my multiplication chart, 24 goes into 74 3 times. 24 times 3 is 72. I subtract. I get 2 left over. I bring down the 4. Hey, 24 goes into 24 one time. 1 times 24. Now, here's what I don't want you to skip. Some people stop here. They forget. Oh my gosh, you're bringing down a 0. Can 24 go into 0? No. This 0 needs to be over the 0. Every digit in the dividend needs a number above it to make sure we got the right answer. The answer is a concert hall can hold 7,440 people. If each row is 24, how many rows are there? It was kind of like the area question. There are 310 rows. All right. Good luck on the homework.